Welcome to Amish Roots. I'm so glad you've joined me. There are four expressions that I have heard over the years that have stuck with me. Trust your gut. Be careful what you wish for. Admit when you are wrong. And pray. So I've broken down our conversation today into these four parts. Trusting my gut. For 8 years, I've been hearing and pondering the pros and cons of Donald Trump as President of the United States. I'm not a real political person. I'll be the first to admit that. My political views can be best summed up in the song Alan Jackson wrote about 9/11, called Where Were You When the World Stopped Turning? In it, he says, I'm just a singer of simple songs. I'm not a real political man. I watch CNN, but I'm not sure I could tell you the difference in Iraq and Iran. But I know Jesus and I talk to God, and I remember this from when I was young. Faith, hope, and love are some great things he taught us, and the greatest is love. So I like to watch our local news program in the evening to find out what I may have missed during my day. Inevitably, they also touch on world news. And this was my introduction to Donald Trump wanting, then being, then trying again to be President of the United States. My gut told me this was a bad idea, but it happened. And so I told myself, he has people to help him. And how bad can he be? 4 years was a very long time. And every night on the news, there was something he said or did that made me cringe. My Trump friends told me that the news was distorting what he was trying to accomplish. So when I asked about the things I hear him saying and doing, they told me he doesn't mean it. He's just talking. So, if I'm hearing this right, everything is fake news except what he says, but sometimes he doesn't mean it. And if he doesn't mean it, why does he say it? Which begs me to question, is he then a fake president? I'm just kidding. Sort of. As I said before, 4 years of this was a long time for me, and I admit I was happy when he lost the next time he was on the docket. I was hoping he would ride off into the sunset, but it didn't happen. And here we are again. On Monday, January 20th, he will again be President of the United States. Growing up Amish, we were told not to vote. The Amish believe that they should not conform to the world, and so they refrain from voting. Personally, I was never too concerned about it. I figured the politicians could take care of all those worldly things, and it was something I didn't have to worry about. I do use my right to vote now, but I am still very naive about the whole process. Why then, you might ask, do I care about Trump being president? I trust my gut. I believe in the morals I was taught growing up, and I would like to see them in our leaders. What can be accomplished by raising our fists, constantly tossing insults, and brandishing weapons? What has happened to being a grateful winner and maybe more importantly, a gracious loser? Why is violently protesting becoming the norm? When we are shouting loudly, who actually hears anything? What I see and hear from Mr. Trump is what I can best compare to one minister I used to listen to in my Amish community. He was a stern, blustery preacher who spoke all hell, fire, and brimstone. It was like, do as I say or else. I think maybe he thought he could scare us into heaven. It didn't appeal to me then, and certainly does not resonate with me now. My Trump friends are happy he's going back to the White House and that the terrible Democrats are out. I caution them by saying, be careful what you wish for. My mom used to say this to me when I complained that I didn't have, or if I wanted, something to be different. For example, if I didn't like my teacher, Mrs. Smith, and wished I had Mr. Jackson because he seemed more fun, well, perhaps Mr. Jackson has his own set of faults. My friends' voices echo all around me saying things like, Trump will be good for the economy. Biden ruined everything. He's going to help the working people. He will stop the wars. You'll see, etc., etc. So, as I dig in for another 4 years of what I believe will be more insults, threats, untruths that are apparently he doesn't mean, and ego, I tell my friends that I hope they are right. I want so badly to be wrong about how I feel about the situation. I tell my friends that after 4 years, I hope they can say to me, I told you so. And then I will gladly be the first to admit I was wrong. And I'll be very thankful for it. And I will pray for friends, for faith, for world peace, and for world leaders. May we all have a transformation like Saul on the road to Damascus, so that we live our lives not as a Saul, but as Paul the Apostle. This is a very amazing story, and it can be found in the Bible in the book of Acts if you would like to read it further. I will trust my faith. I will hope for a better future, and most of all, I will pray that love will prevail. I cannot say it any plainer than that. Even if you aren't a political person, or if you do or don't vote, it is important that we respect one another no matter our views. Trust your gut. Be careful what you wish for. Admit when you're wrong and pray. Remembering the words of Jesus, faith, hope, and love. And the greatest is love. Well, mach's gut. And I will see you next week on Amish Roots. Plain talk in a modern world.